You and I began our time together tonight discussing Donald Trump's big win in South Carolina Saturday night, and we heard some of what he said last night in Atlanta. That rally is really worth revisiting because a protester interrupted, then something else happened. Now, there's no confusing the Donald for Vicki Lawrence, but last night, when the lights went out in Georgia, the frontrunner didn't miss a beat.
They were probably sent here so that we put them in our jails. Because to put them in our jails, they didn't pay the electric bill. To put them, oh, I like that much better. Oh, that's so much better. Those lights were brutal. They come from the dishonest press? Where? Oh, don't turn them off. Forget it. Better, right? Don't turn them on. Don't turn the lights on, plus we save on electricity, right? And because the lights didn't work, I won't pay the rent, so we get better lighting and we don't pay the rent, right? Right? No, get those lights off. Off! Turn them off, they're too bright, turn them off. Turn them off, let's go, ready? Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn them off.
Well, I guess the Donald was trying to be fiscally responsible, saving on electricity and on the price of renting that facility. Now, it's time for the way you see it. Your comments via social media. We hear first from VW, who asks a question about just who can be appointed a Supreme Court justice. He writes, "Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that an appointee to the Supreme Court has to be a lawyer. In my opinion, being a judge does not mean one has to be a lawyer, just as jurors do not have to be skilled in the law. Am I correct?" Well, V-dubs, when it comes to the Constitution, you're absolutely correct. You see, that's a document of limited and enumerated powers. In other words, it means what it says, or conversely, it does not mean what it does not say. Nowhere in Article 3, Section 1 does it stipulate that Supreme Court justices, or indeed other federal judges, be trained as lawyers. But there is the matter of constitutional custom, which deals with the precedents established by our founders and honored down through our history. For example, that same section of the Constitution states that judges and justices, quote, shall hold their offices for good behavior, end quote. That's been regarded as a lifetime appointment because they could only be removed through impeachment and conviction, resignation, or death. So, according to constitutional custom, every Supreme Court appointment, beginning with John Jay, who was the first, has gone to a lawyer. It's customary, but not absolutely necessary. Next, we hear from Patrick, who writes in about President Obama skipping Justice Scalia's funeral and what Donald Trump tweeted out over the weekend. He writes, Mr. Trump's comments about President Obama not attending the church service for Justice Scalia was not, quote, questioning his belief, as the Pope did to Mr. Trump. He was questioning his lack of respect for the gentleman and the Supreme Court. Next, we hear from Al, who writes in about Dick Morris and his assessment of the results Saturday night from South Carolina. He writes, Dick Morris said Mr. Trump had 35% for him and that meant he had 65% against him. I don't think he was thinking that Rubio and Cruz have about 22% each. That meant that they had 78% that did not want them. The further you go down the list, the worse it gets. We Trumpers done voted for the winner. And Joseph writes in about the Republican Party and the support of minorities and about Mr. Trump's success with this voting bloc. He writes, JD, I heard one of your talking heads express his concern that Trump was winning a majority of the minority, and that is not good for the party. I don't care about the Republican Party. I am concerned about the survival of the United States of America. So, what do you think? We'd love to get your comments, and here's the best way for you to send them to me. Send your comments to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments. That'll do it for tonight. Stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.